Last name?
What?
Do I need to say my last name?
You don't have to. No, you don't have to. Hi, guys. I'm just waiting for a couple more minutes to let people in, but welcome to our Enrichment Friday. Hi, Adam. Feel free to show your cameras, guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We usually have some latecomers too, Miss Noberry. So probably as we go on, we'll be adding more people in.
Okay. All right, well, we can start for those of you who are here now. Thank you all for joining our Enrichment Friday today. So some of you may recognize these faces from as seniors from last year. We have a couple of 2020 graduates to talk to you guys about their college experience in the pandemic, give you some advice on the application process, what they wish they knew, and then I want to open it up to you guys to ask them any and all questions. They're here to be honest with you. So please be as interactive as possible. I want to start by having those of you who are here to, just put what grade level you are in the chat so they kind of know who they're talking to. All right, so we have a lot of freshmen, some seniors. I see some sophomores in here, they're just not writing it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and have them introduce themselves to you all. They're gonna say what school they're in, their major, and then if they are virtual or in person, or if they were in person and went virtual. And then we'll kind of start going through some questions. So again, feel free to put any questions you have in the chat at any time, and we'll have them go through it. So Jess, do you want to start?
Yes. I'm Jessica. I go to Stevenson University and I'm a nursing major, and I'm actually on campus. I'm home right now, but I go back on Sunday.
Yay. Camille?
I'm Camille. I go to Towson. I'm a psychology major and I'm currently at home. I was at home my first semester. I'm gonna be home again, but they are allowing people back on campus.
All right, Demetrius?
Hey guys, I'm Demetrius. I go to Johns Hopkins University and I was virtual my first semester, but now I'm here, so.
Selena?
I'm Selena. I go to James Madison University. I'm undeclared right now, meaning I didn't decide my major, but I'm leaning towards psychology with a communications minor.
Gavin?
I'm Gavin. I go to Penn State. I'm majoring in microbiology, and I might do a double major with immunology and infectious disease. I'm minoring in neuroscience. And I was on campus, and I will be for this semester as well.
And then Hope?
I'm Hope. I go to Flagler College. I've been in person the whole time, and I'm a deaf education major.
Awesome. So if anyone is interested in any of those majors, will you put it in the chat so we have an idea? All right, so I will start by just putting our first question in there for you. Please, again, feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. So you guys, whoever wants to answer this, multiple of you can answer it. But when did the application process start for you, and what was the hardest part?
Go first. So I feel like I kind of started late. I started like a couple months to my senior year, whereas other people started like their junior year, like the summer going to senior year. So I started like October. And the hardest part for me was just really getting the motivation to like even look into colleges and start applying, because I was never one of those people that was excited to go to college. I know I was going, but I didn't really care. Um, but if you can muster up the motivation to at least look into what you want to find, please do that.
I think I oh,
Okay.
I think I started probably August of like the summer before. But I think it really starts your freshman year. So um, most of the time you're going to need those letters of recommendation from your teachers and even like your peers. So it's all starts freshman year with the relationship building and just getting a good grasp on how to make relationships with people. So I think it starts really early.
Yeah, I really agree with that because it really does start freshman year. Colleges will see, your transcripts. And again, like freshman year is when you can start, building relationships with teachers because those are the people who will write your recommendation letters. Um, and one thing I did was, I think it was like my sophomore year, I had like a note on the notes app in my phone, and I would just write down like unique things about my life and stuff like that, just because I knew I had to write essays later, and you really want to stand out with the essays. So realistically, application starts freshman year, but most people start at like summer before senior year.
I appreciate you saying that, you guys. With the freshmen on the call here, we've recently been in their classrooms and starting that process. And I think it feels early to them when we do that, when we go into Naviance and we start talking like that. So I appreciate you guys saying that from your perspective, that it really does start in the freshman year.
And also to Camille, don't feel bad that you started later, and that's just a sign that, hey, some people don't know what they want to do yet, and that doesn't mean that they have to give up. They can still apply to college and still go in the fall. So if you don't necessarily know what you want, or you want to go to college but you're not really into it right now, that doesn't mean you should give up, because Camille's a great example. She started a little bit later and she's right where she wanted to be. So
Thank you, Ms.
Just
Noble.
so Camille's not alone, I started pretty late myself, but like what Ms. Nobre and Ms. Jaffers are saying, it's never too late to get started. I personally still don't know what I want to do now, as I'm still like undecided, but my college is working with me to figure out what I want to do. So there's always help. So like always ask questions and ask for help.
Yeah, I definitely think that I started like my junior year, I'd say. But I think the most important thing is for your freshman and sophomore year, join as many clubs and activities that you can, because all that stuff is really what looks good on your application. And if you don't join them until senior year, it kind of doesn't really help because your application's already in. My hardest part would be, I just didn't know where to start at all because I'm the oldest and my parents had no idea where to start. So I definitely think that using like Mr. Hamilton or all the counselors and stuff, they'll help you like start, because I was so lost. I had no idea. So definitely use your resources when it comes to that.
is there anything you would do differently regarding the application process?
I would definitely apply to multiple schools. I only applied to 2, and I got into my first choice, but it's really important to apply to multiple schools. That's what I would have done differently.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Something I would have done differently is definitely starting early, because I ended up lucking out and going to my favorite school, but meaning I didn't get to visit other schools pre-COVID. So I was like making my decision based on maybe what the website just said, what I've heard. So definitely getting started early, because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, I would for sure be. Oh, you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. I would for sure be more vigilant and like doing college visits. I applied to like 7 or 8. Only visited 2. Luckily, I did visit Towson, so I liked what I saw, despite me not being on campus. But definitely try your best to do college visits, and then if that doesn't work out, go on the website and like even what I did, I went on other people's social media that were going to the college just to like get a look into what they were doing every day.
For me, it's kind of the opposite. I applied to 34 schools and then I only visited one. So I wouldn't apply to too many. I kind of, it got to a point where I was kind of addicted to applying to college. So I would just send in an application to send it in and not even like know what the school's about. So I get like a solid list, but not like too many. So
No, I definitely agree with that. Like, I feel like if you have somewhat of an idea of what you like I knew I wanted to be down south, like in the warmer weather. So there was no point for me to apply at any other schools up north. Also, like looking at schools that do have your major, don't have your major, stuff like that. Because when I originally came here, I wanted to minor in something that they didn't have a minor in. So it ended up causing me to change my major, which I love at this point. So it doesn't even matter. But just kind of like check to make sure that your school is going to have everything that you want before applying, I guess.
All right. So another question is, how do you guys think Ryken has prepared you for college?
Actually, I can prepare. Oh, you go first.
Um, uh, I'll just say like academically, for instance, my math class freshman year, I was very well prepared in math. Just having to write essays all throughout high school, that's a big thing, like knowing how to write a good paper. Um, Even like it may seem small, but like the campus at Ryken, it is a college like setup sort of. So like, just being used to like walking to class and like time management and just balancing all those things. And also like Ryken has a lot of like clubs, extracurriculars, and I would really suggest like taking advantage of that because like in college it is a lot, and knowing how to handle that along with your studies is a great skill to have. So
Yeah, I feel like Ryken really prepared me a lot. And even when I was a student there, like students would come back that graduated and say like college is a breeze compared to Ryken. And I definitely can attest to that. Well, it's not a breeze, but I feel really confident in like what I learned there, especially when it comes to like organization and like the essays. Like I was writing 2 essays a week my first semester, but like it was so easy to me. I was not intimidated at all. So that's how I say it prepared me.
yeah, I think it definitely prepares you for when times get tough. Um, so there are times when like now my past semester it was like it got really hard to get through a certain topic or in a class. And you just think back to your times at Ryken and how a class got super hard and like you felt like there was no way you're gonna get out from under that. And then you do obviously, and it really prepares you for kind of overcoming anything rough that happens in college because college is a little bit harder, but like it's gonna prepare you for to overcome any hardships you face.
I would definitely say the technology aspect because I know a lot of previous friends when I went to their high schools, I would see a lot of pen and paper. We use iPads apparently, and nowadays, since we're definitely technology usage with COVID and everything, I feel like I have an edge on a lot of first years. So I definitely think using an iPad prepared me, although I'm mainly on a computer now, but also the environment because when I was a freshman at Ryken, they give you like that grace period of you being on campus just a freshman alone. When I got to college, they didn't give you no grace period. You have to get around with freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and you just have to mix and mingle and find your way around. So it definitely prepares you to like get around and learn your surroundings.
I would even say like at Ryken, learning how to just type an email professionally to a teacher was helpful. 'Cause I got to college And one of my teachers emailed people saying this is how you're supposed to type it and stuff like that, because she was getting unprofessional emails. And I was like, these people don't know how to type an email. But I do. That was great.
Those are great. So a lot of you talked about organization. Do you guys have any organizational advice for high school or when in college?
I just recently started using a planner and that's really helped because at Ryken, I never used a planner. I would just use like my reminders app, like on my iPad or my phone. And it was kind of easy to remember my homework at Ryken though, if I remember. But in college, it's a little bit more and a little bit more complicated sometimes. So I use my planner now almost every day and I write stuff down or sticky notes actually. Just stick it right on my laptop.
I also bought my first planner because they mentioned it one time. Rather in high school, they mentioned it like 5, 6 times. They say it one time and you write it down, you write it down. If you don't, I hope you remember later. But I'm more tech savvy, so I use Google Calendar and I literally every semester I put all of my classes in Google Calendar because I'm forgetful. So, but my phone's always in my hand. If I have my phone, I set a reminder 15 minutes before class, hour before. It reminds me. You can color code it, and it's in an app store. It's called Google Calendar if you want to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, my school has the like website that they use puts all of our assignments like in order and when they're due so you can look. So that's really helpful because I bought a planner and I could not even use it. I just didn't end up using it. But right now I'm looking at 4 sticky notes on my windows. Like I just put sticky notes everywhere. But I think that if your school offers something like that, which I feel like a lot of them do, then it'll be really helpful and actually use it because it'll tell you when everything's due. But other than that, like Selena said, I'll use a online calendar instead of like a handwritten one.
I make to-do lists. So I make it by the day and I put it on one sticky note and I just write down a list of everything I need to get done, just like a master list. And then I stick it on the wall or I stick it like on my laptop next to the trackpad. And then as I get it done, I just cross it off. And then that's how I do things. Or I'll have a big whiteboard and I write down all like events I need to attend or go to, classes that I need to attend. But most of the time I just have that on Google Calendar and it pops up on my laptop. So I don't really need to do that. But yeah, that's how I organize things.
I'm part of the planner crew. I wasn't before. I definitely use my notes app at Ryken, but I recommend actually writing stuff down. But along with the planner, like I kind of do to-do lists too every day. Like I plan out what I'm going to do every day because sometimes your assignments are so far out that you kind of forget to do it. I don't want to be overwhelmed the day of or day before. And then also with the planner, like before the semester starts, I go through each class syllabus and I just write down like my finals, my tests, my papers or projects, just so I can have an idea of what the semester is going to be like. And like sometimes the schedule does change because things happen, but at least it's like, I know what to expect. And then when it comes to like notes and stuff, this is my math notebook. I just like took, I'm organized. So I actually did this for my math final because of COVID, they're allowing like open note tests. They'll study because it's timed, but in order to find the section, I just write the chapter and a description, and that's helpful. Yeah.
Those are great.
Piggybacking off of what Demetrius and Camille said, I do to-do lists, but not as often because I used to get overwhelmed with, I would usually write like 35, 40 things I got to do. Realistically, you can't get through 35 to 40 things in a day. So if you do to-do lists, don't get overwhelmed by how much stuff you write off. Just try to get through as much as possible, but always look ahead because like Camille said, that syllabus is always there. First day of class is usually them reviewing that syllabus and they expect you to come to class already knowing it. they're not going to spend usually a whole day, a whole class period going over. They might go over it briefly, but not an entire class, typically like it may be in high school. So just be prepared in advance.
Yeah, and as soon as like you get the syllabus, it usually has like due dates and stuff on it. I'd like put that in a calendar somewhere. So like when it does come, you're like not, oh, I didn't know this was due. So
I also want to add, when I did at Ryken, I don't know if you guys are still using Notability. They are.
Yeah.
So what I did is, starting my freshman year, I would organize my classes into folders, and then those classes into semesters, and those semesters into years. So what that kind of does, like if I was a senior and I had a paper to do and it's on a topic that I kind of did before, I could go back to my sophomore year and obviously don't turn in the same paper, but like just revamp it or like take new ideas to your new paper. And I'm doing that in college now too, just so as I go down the line, I can just look back to this year and like pull some things. So definitely do that.
And some things from high school carry over into college. I still use Notability to annotate electronically and to like when I'm filling out scholarships. So just because you figure you're using it in high school, you think you may not use it in college, just always have in the back of your mind that you might use it later.
yeah, I use Notability for all my notes. I'm fully digital in college, but it really does help, and it's very good on the organization. So you just don't have a bunch of different things flying all over the place and you can't find your homework. So yeah, that's good.
All right. Another question. Again, guys, if you have any questions you want, please put it in the chat. Another one we have for you guys is, let me pull it up. What weren't you prepared for with your transition to college?
Good question.
I'm sorry, repeat it.
What were you not prepared for with your transition to college?
I think for me, like I'm a long way from home, I'd say. And your professors and like doctors in college, they're not going to chase after you for an assignment. And I feel like in Ryken, a lot of teachers did that. And it wasn't because they wanted to baby you, it was because they just wanted you to succeed so bad and they wanted you to get that good grade. Professors here do not care. So if you don't turn in an assignment, you're getting a 0, and there's probably nothing you can do to either get partial credit over a late date unless they have some exceptions or something. So really, you just have to know what you have to do when. If you're going to slack on an assignment, you need to know how bad it's going to affect your grade. It's no one's going to be chasing after you, babying you in order to get those assignments in. So it really is up to you.
Yeah, I know at Hopkins especially, there's no late work ever. So if it's late, it's 0. So yeah, and I think it also comes with having a good relationship with your professors or like your teachers, because sometimes they will feel bad for you. But in this like virtual world, most people will not have any like excuse to like turn in something late. So they will have less sympathy for you. So I try everything in on time.
I would say pre-COVID, I wasn't prepared for moving out and living on campus. And then COVID hit and I'm home. So then, but then that was kind of a new challenge in itself. Now I wasn't prepared to be at home, which sounds kind of like weird, not being prepared to stay at home, like you're doing that anyway. But when you have like all these expectations of what you see your first year being like and things like that, that could be kind of difficult to deal with. So I wasn't prepared for that. And my mom's home because she's working here, wasn't prepared to see every day. Yeah, it was just learning how to create a space where I could work separately and then have like my room separate. So that's why I changed this room into an office. So if you have that opportunity to do that, because it's difficult to stay motivated when you're working in your room or you're seeing like your parents every day. So just find a separate space to do work. So when you're done, you can close the door and it's like, that's school. Now I'm at home.
I would have to agree with what Camille said. Originally, I went to school for maybe a week and then I got sent back home. So I was confined in like four walls my entire like majority of the day. But then I moved into like my office area and I do work in there. But I would have a different experience of originally moving on campus. I was comfortable with it because I've traveled without my parents and my family like since I was a freshman with playing sports and stuff. So that wasn't too much of a challenge itself. But constantly having to adjust with the circumstances around me was hard or kind of difficult, but you learn how to stay motivated, like making your own space and asking questions like, how are you doing this? Maybe it'll help me. So, like I said before, ask questions.
Yeah, it was rough for me my first semester because my mom was at home, my little brother was at home doing work, and I was at home. Um, and I also had an office space, but it was like my mom's office is right outside the door, and then my brother's doing his work right across the hall. So like, um, you could hear it from his class, my class. My mom has like meetings all day, so it was kind of rough because um, everybody's kind of doing all this at the same time. It was hard to focus. Um, but I kind of combated that was like I would go sit outside when it was nice. I would go sit outside and like go to class and do work outside, and it was kind of peaceful. So I think changing up your um, study spaces really helps and get that like change of scenery, so it's not you're sitting in the same four walls every day.
Thing that that like I really wasn't prepared for was, so in some this isn't with everyone, but with me, so like when you pick your major, you start taking these classes for your major, and I was kind of going through like imposter syndrome at points. Like things would get really hard, and I would like doubt myself and be like, did I pick wrong? Did I like make a mistake? Is this really what I want to do? So I guess I wasn't really prepared for like the stress of that, and like the just the mentality of like maybe I'm not right for this. But it's all about like, having confidence in yourself and just really being like, like it's going to be hard at times, but just work really hard and you'll get through it. So I guess that was the main thing I wasn't prepared for.
Same. I was multiple times, and you guys can attest to this. I was like, I'm in over my head. I can't do this.
Yeah, I know Dimitri, because I can't remember if I'm gonna like or Coke is, but we're pre-med, so it's like they try to weed you out and really put a lot of pressure on you, and so a lot of times you doubt yourself and you're like, maybe I can't handle this, but in reality you can.
So how do you guys stay motivated to do your work?
I always look at the ultimate goal. So, you always go in with some sort of endpoint or some goal you want to reach. And what kept me motivated was like I wanted it so bad. And I know like it's all gonna pay off in the end, and pain's temporary, and like I'll suffer now and I'll be rewarded later. So
Oh, I wouldn't say suffer per se, but I definitely like what I always keep in mind is like you really do have to encourage yourself because it's your life. But one thing my parents always taught me is like everything is temporary. What's happening now is not gonna last. And like you said, the end goal is it's bigger than what's temporary now. But even in those times, it still can be difficult. So what helps me is like creating a schedule, a plan for myself. Um, and the first thing always just get out of bed. And what like helps me, I forgot her name, but someone told me one day like the 5-second rule. you have like 5 seconds in your brain that you'll have to convince yourself to not do something. So like the moment you get up, count to 5, get up out of bed so you don't convince yourself to stay in bed. And what also helps me is just when I plan out something, taking that plan day by day. Once you have the plan, don't look forward, just do what you're gonna do right now. And take those like pockets throughout your day to do something that doesn't involve school. So like go to the gym. Sometimes I'll call a friend or like switch up the scenery. Sometimes I go to Panera with my friend Taylor. Just doing things like that. Make sure your life doesn't revolve around school, because though it's important, it's not your whole life. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I agree with what Camille said. Like there needs to be some sort of balance, because if you're just doing school all the time, you're going to get burnt out and it's just not going to be enjoyable for you. So just make sure you have like designated times for you to like enjoy yourself, hang out with a friend, go get some food, like just do things that you like, not just what you have to do for school. That's a very big thing. And a lot of college students have a hard time remembering that. And you see many kids just, burning themselves out because they just work all day.
Yeah, I got to the point where I was doing math 12 hours a day uh, because it was that important to me. And I would go to sleep really late at night and wake up really early. And towards like the middle of the semester, uh, it got to the point where I just like were skipping classes to do this math class. So it, so there really should be a balance. So, maybe take an hour out of the day to go on a walk or, spend some time with your family, watch some TV. So it's always about keeping it balanced between work and, some leisurely time to yourself.
I would definitely say balance as well. I can speak for myself. I didn't have balance in the beginning and I'm still working on it. But as an athlete, like I just have a don't quit mindset. So I would just always say, keep pushing, don't quit. Like Camille said, it's always going to get better. It's temporary. And then I always think about like who I'm doing it for. I'm going to college for myself and to have a better future and career and stuff. But my mom is helping me pay for college. My father's helping me pay for college. I'm helping myself pay for college. So if I'm slacking in college, I don't think I'm slacking for myself. I'm slacking towards my parents. And I don't want to be disrespectful in any way. So I'm always going to keep pushing to work hard. So maybe you can think about who you do it for and not, because it's usually always bigger than yourself. And I would say tell your goals to the people in your environment so they can keep you on your toes. Because I can go downstairs and say I want to watch Netflix for maybe like 3 hours, and my mom's like, "Well, didn't you say this assignment was due for midnight?" So she like keeps me on my toes, so I don't like slack off.
I also want to say, like, when you do create that plan and schedule for yourself, that you're not always going to be on it every day. Some days you're going to want to take time to rest or you're just not feeling it. But when you do have those days, just give yourself some grace. Like, don't be hard on yourself for wanting to rest. I know the type of person I am. Like, I feel like if I'm not doing what I said I was going to do, I feel bad about my time when I rest, or I don't want to do it at all because I'm like, if I'm not going to do it now, might as well not do it ever. So definitely have some grace for yourself, especially during this time. Like, no one taught us how to be in a pandemic, let alone be a good student, a good daughter, son. Like, give yourself some grace. You're doing the best you can along with everybody else. So
That's great advice. All right, so I'm going to go through the chat. We have a couple questions.
You apply to any Ivy League school.
My feelings hurt.
it's going.
Okay, so that's one question. Did any of you apply to Ivy League schools?
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
Yeah, no, nothing's wrong with it.
I did.
Hi.
I know Demetrius did.
We know Demetrius did.
Gavin did. Was that experience any different for you, or was it kind of the same as with the other
So a
schools?
lot more writing. So, and I know I was also going to say, keep every piece of like writing that you've gotten graded, because some colleges will ask you to like submit a graded piece of writing. So if you just keep everything, you have like your best one to choose from. So yeah, the IB process is pretty much the same. It's just way more writing, and they ask for a lot more stuff than some schools do. So
Like Winston asked for like an essay from high school. So yeah, definitely hang on to your essays. Also like a lot of like certain schools, like a lot of top schools, or if you're applying for like a special program, there's an interview along with it most of the time. And I will say a lot of the Ivies have interviews. I don't think they're required, but it's like highly recommended. So just be prepared for an interview of some sort.
yeah, if it's optional, do it.
Mhm.
'Cause, yeah.
I didn't do Ivy League, but I would recommend holding onto your documents in general because I forget what teacher. I think it was for Miss Maldonado. I did an essay for, and that ended up being my Common App essay. Although I tweaked it and made it better, I had somewhere to start. So keep everything because I wrote that maybe sophomore, junior year, and I used it my senior year. So although you may not think you use it now, you'll definitely end up using it later or have it as like a platform or blueprint for something in college. So don't get rid of anything, save it, even if it's electronically or paper copy.
All right, there was another question. What was it like to pick a major?
Um,
Go ahead.
for me, at first, I wanted to be a vet, but then I realized I don't want to work on animals. I just love them very, very much. So then I was like, what else can I get into? And I realized that nursing was probably the best thing for me. It kind of just came to me. I really have a true care for people, and that is really the only field I could see myself going into. And I have a lot of family members who are in the medical field, so I kind of had people to talk to. So that goes back to utilizing your resources. Definitely talk to people around you.
Yeah, I kind of already knew what I wanted to do. I want to be a therapist, and my mom was a therapist, so I'm just doing what she did. But I know my first psychology class, or like the first week, I was like, I'm switching my major. I don't like psychology, um, but I'm still doing it. So I just kind of already knew. I am trying to keep open mind though, because I do have interest in other things. So while you might know your major, try to branch out into other classes and still do what you're interested in. So
I actually picked my major because of the experiences at Ryken. I knew I wanted to do something science, but when I was taking biology with Miss Everly, we'd do some like microbiology topics, and so that got me really interested. And I was just starting to think like, what do I actually enjoy learning about? And when I thought back on it, it was the times when we were doing like stuff relating to microbiology and those like that area of science. So that's how I picked mine. Just kind of go with what you like.
Yeah. So for me, I knew I wanted to do something medical, and it kind of all fell into place, Hopkins pre-med. But see, for my major, I took a psych class at Ryken, and um, they did this section about parts of the brain, and that wasn't really like a psychology section. It was more of a neuroscience section. Um, and so I came here and I was like, I'm gonna take a neuroscience class just to see like if this is really the path I want to take, because I came in undecided. I actually came in undecided in humanities, so totally different end of the spectrum. But I took my neuroscience class, really loved it. Would try to like psychoanalyze my brother and my mom. So now I am a neuroscience major, so that's why I chose my major.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can go, Selena.
Go ahead, help. I'll go after you.
Okay. So I always knew that I wanted to do something with kids, and like I always wanted to be a teacher. So I was just gonna do elementary education, and then when I joined Best Buddies in high school, I realized that I wanted to do something in special education, so I was gonna minor in that. But then when I picked my school, I realized they don't have that minor here, and I know I didn't want to do a major in special ed, so I actually talked with my advisor and I told her, what I was dealing with. And she actually recommended the deaf education program here, which is one of like the best ones in the state, I guess. And the city that I live in is a really big deaf population, as well as they have a school for the deaf and blind. So after like falling in love with my school and like thinking about it, I decided to hop on that program, and I can like see myself living here and like teaching at that school. So I'm learning sign language. It's really hard, but really cool, and I just love it, and I can't wait to actually be fluent, hopefully. But yeah, so
Like I mentioned before, I haven't decided my major yet, but I really like that. Like I said, I looked out and picked my favorite school in the end, but my school really accommodates to how I'm feeling. And most schools have a lot of general education you have to take before you even get to maybe pick your major. Although you can pick it early and get ahead if you're like a pre-med or something like that, you can. But my school has a lot of leeway. So they have a specific program, I always forget the name, but they have specific advisors for each person and they help you develop and figure out what you want to do and learn about yourself so you can ultimately pick your major. I think it's your third semester, so like first semester of my sophomore year. So I have a lot of decision making over the summer, but I've been taking a little technology. I'm taking psych, communications. I took a history class. I'm just branching out and figuring out what I want to do, and that's okay. You don't always have to go into college knowing what you want to do. As long as you're working towards something, that's always progress.
Okay. All right, guys,
Uh,
take one or two more questions. Does someone have a question or you want to add?
Ms. Newberry, I just wanted to add something that Camille said earlier. I think one of the biggest things that the students are missing out on this year, as well as us, the faculty, is when the alumni come back to visit. So we always love when you guys come back and you share your stories and you connect with us. And because of COVID, we really haven't been able to do that. And I think that brings up a good point that the relationship at Ryken with your counselors goes beyond graduation. And you guys are a great example of that with Miss Newberry. The fact that she's able to get 19-year-olds up on a Friday morning and be on screen by 10 a.m., I think it really speaks to the relationship that you guys have, with teachers, counselors, and the fact that we don't get to see you visiting on campus this year, I feel like is just a huge loss for our community. So I'm hoping that changes as we get toward the end of the year, because it's just so beneficial for the kids to see you come back and for us too.
Yeah.
I love you, Miss No No. You my girl.
Not sad anymore. So sad.
Oh.
All right, guys. So let's do there was a couple more in the chat, and then we'll probably end. So thank you so much for all your time today. One from Ashley. How did you guys know your college was the right one for you?
Oof, I did it.
Well,
You want to go first?
I feel like this may not be like everybody else's experience. I knew as soon as I looked at it. I had the benefit of like actually visiting before I even had applied to my school. I fell in love with the town, the city. Everyone was nicer, but I also think it comes to like actually what you like. If you like the cold, if you like the hot, don't apply somewhere you're not gonna like, because it really does affect you. If you want 4 seasons, if you don't. I don't want to go home. So that's something. I never want to go home. I never want to leave. So I think that's really good. But you really don't want to be somewhere that you don't like, because if you don't like the environment and atmosphere that you're in, you're not going to actually be motivated to like do work and go forward. So it's really important that you go somewhere that you like, because it would really suck if you didn't like where you were.
When it comes to like choosing the right college, that's actually what made it really difficult for me when it came to decision day. I know like I was maybe like 3 days out until decision day, and I was really stressed going through it. And I felt like I put a lot of pressure on myself to make the decision solely by myself. Like I had to do it because it's going to be my life and I have to be independent. And then eventually I was like, I can't take the stress anymore. And I talked to my parents. Cause I realized like, even though we are young adults and we're trying to like make our way in the world, we're still like their kids. They have way more life experience and more wisdom. So definitely lean on your parents and those around you when you're making the decision. And also what I had to get out of my head was I feel like I have a problem when people say the right college, like the one for you. I feel like whatever wherever you go, you're gonna grow. Just it might just be in a different way and it might be different timing. You're still going to be pushed, you're still gonna have a new experience, you're still gonna meet new people. So don't feel like if I go to this place, I'm gonna completely miss out on something better and different. It's whatever you decide your college experience is gonna be and how much you decide to push yourself. So when it came to choosing my college, I was choosing between two, and what broke it is I made a pros and cons list of what I wanted, and then I finally asked my parents about their opinion. And I don't know if you guys are religious. This is a Catholic school, so I'm gonna say um, I was like, "What do you think God wants me to do?" And they told me Towson, and I felt like peace when they told me that. So that's what I did. So
Yeah, I also used like a pros and cons list. When it came down to like, I was kind of similar in Demetrius's boat. Like I was picking between I think like 18 schools at the end, so it was a lot of lists. But uh, really, it just came down to like, just telling yourself like, what do I want in a college? And for me, it was like I was looking at things like school spirit, like academics, the college town, and like even like making sure like maybe you thought you would like a city school, or you would like a school that's more rural, but actually like seeing it is a different story. Like I was looking at NYU and I toured it and I hated it. Like so being sure like what you want. Like I wasn't good with the city, so I wanted a place that wasn't that. And even like another thing I think to keep in mind is like the long term aspects of it. So for example, for me, I plan to go to med school. So, financially, a it was a factor. Like finances were a factor because, I was between like one school where I would have paid 81,000 a year, and that just seemed ridiculous to me. Where I could go somewhere else and pay a lot less, and in the long term, it would set me up better because with med school coming up, I'm gonna have that as well. So I really just think looking towards the future and just going with your gut, like you're gonna end up where you're supposed to. I truly believe that.
Oh,
Yeah, go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Selena.
Demetrius. You
Okay.
can.
Uh, for me, uh, I think I had 23 schools to choose from in the end. But I had like my ones that I really wanted to go to, obviously. So I think finances do come into account for a lot of it. So yeah, one school that I was gonna pay 40,000 a year to go to. Another school that well, Hopkins, I'm going for virtually free. So it's 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 a thing you weigh. And also, I think I always thought back to how I felt when I got my acceptance letter. So the moment that you get accepted to college is like the best feeling in the world. I think that's why I got like addicted to applying because I also got addicted to opening letters. But the moment that you get in is like the best moment in the world. And I felt that with Hopkins, I felt like that was my best acceptance, my best feeling. And um, I, I think it was the right choice. So.
Going off of what Demetrius says, that is, now that I'm thinking about the acceptance that I got from JMU and how they put all their statistics in it, like you're 4,000 blah blah out of 40 some thousand people. The excitement that I knew I had when I got accepted to JMU was completely different from when I got accepted to the 8 other schools. So then I was like, I'm way more excited to go here and I've never even been blah, blah, but I just love it. But a lot of people don't know that I also got offered to play sports at a completely different college, but the college didn't have what I wanted to do. So in the long run, I had to think, hey, am I actually going to keep furthering this? Am I going to make a career out of it? Am I going to keep going? And ultimately, I chose not to. So doing something like that is pretty difficult when you've been playing since you were little, middle, high school, such and such. But like we keep reiterating, it's a decision for yourself. So although they didn't have what I wanted to do, I had to weigh my options and think critically. But I chose JMU because I don't know. I just love it.
For me personally, my parents may get on my nerves, but I didn't want to be too far from them because I have older parents and I just couldn't imagine not being able to be here if something happened. So for me, I didn't want to be too far from my parents. So I just started researching schools in Maryland, like top nursing programs. And I came across Stevenson and I just really love it. I love the environment. I love the people. I love the campus. So that's what worked for me.
I would just say make sure you guys are clear on what exactly you want, and what you want for yourself in the future. Although academics is great, you also have to keep in account like your personal growth, because that's also part of the college experience, is how you grow as a person into an adult. And also keep in mind, transferring is a thing. I went to I went to Towson with the plan that I'm going to be here for like 2 years and then transfer. That plan is changing, but that was the plan originally. And I know a lot of times people feel like if I transfer, then like I kind of failed because I didn't get it right the first time, but that's not necessarily the truth. It's just your journey. So
Yay. All right, that was great. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, can I say something?
Yeah.
They tell you to fill out scholarships.
Mm.
Fill
Fill 'em
out the scholarship.
Fill them out.
I didn't pay for none of my books this semester off of 2 scholarships. Books are like hundreds of dollars in college.
Mhm.
They're hundreds of dollars. If you find one lower than hundreds, please tell me where you're getting it from. Please. But fill out as many scholarships as you can, starting now, starting later, whenever you choose. Just do it. It helps. That's what I want to say.
Yes, that's great advice. Does anyone else have last minute advice you want to give them before we close up?
Sean.
I was treat college,
Oh my gosh.
treat college like a 8 to 5 job, and then relax.
Yeah, view college like a job. That's a good one.
I commend them for having their cameras on.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, big thank you to some of our alumni here for taking the time on a Friday to do this. For those of you current Ryken students, we are going to hopefully do this again. So you might see these faces again, you might see some new faces. But thank you for joining on a Friday. If you have any questions that you want to ask them individually, I have their contact information. And I'm sure they'd be happy to talk about anything with you. So if you guys have any questions, you can send them my way and I can get that info over to them. All right.
Thank you guys. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you.